Creepy guy laughed when girl said no. By 19 doors.
By the time I met Tyler, I had already heard about him from several friends, male and female, at the small liberal arts college I attended. He was strange, they said, very friendly, but very physical. He would grab girls and pull them into his lap, and when they tried to get away, he would laugh and hold them tighter until one of our male friends forced him to stop. I made a mental note to avoid him. I was sitting in the school's cafeteria with one of my male friends who knew when he approached and tried to grab me for the first time. I don't remember what the conversation was or how long he had been sitting there near him, but when he reached for me, I instinctively pulled away. He grabbed me anyway and pulled me towards him, and when I told him to stop touching me, he began laughing. No, he didn't assault me, but his hands were on my arm. When he laughed, his eyes were cold and humorless, and his grip on my arm tightened. I wrenched myself away and ran out of the cafe. When a concerned male friend caught up to me, I said, "There's something wrong with him. He's going to hurt someone." My friend promptly walked me to the Kmart, where I bought some pepper spray. The second time Tyler tried to grab me, he approached the group of people I was standing with and tried to put his arm around me. I turned around and said, "Don't touch me. Don't touch any of my friends. We don't like it. You make us uncomfortable." My voice carried, and people turned to look. He looked shocked, and his grip loosened. I left the cafeteria. He avoided me after that, and I thought it was over, until I went back to the dorm one night and found that none of my friends were there. When I texted them, they said that they were at the school's gym and that I should come. At the gym, I found 7 girls standing around the school's dean. Tyler, I was told, had approached one of my friends in the gym, grabbed her by the hair, and forced her head towards him. Every single one of the girls in the gym that day said that Tyler had at one point or another grabbed them and held on, refusing to stop touching them when they said no. None of them had reported it because he actually had assaulted them. He was just aggressive, but until that night, he had not crossed the line. The girls, including myself, all wrote down our experiences with him and gave our testimonies to the dean. Tyler was expelled soon after. I never saw him again, and hopefully never will. Got harassed and followed home by a creepy stalker. By Kittens Are Cool. So, this happened to me about a year ago. I was living in a large city in the UK, around a mile from the center. Although the area I lived in was nice, the city itself had a lot of crime. A teenage girl actually got stabbed to death on her way to school on a bus near my flat not long ago. I had just finished my university class and was waiting at the bus stop, and I was helping a woman locate her bus on the timetable. And as I'm helping her, my bus pulls up and drives away. Great. A man must have seen the whole thing happen because he came over to me and said something along the lines of, "Tough luck, that's annoying." And I replied, "Yeah, typical." Or something like that. Normal small talk, trying to be polite to him. Shortly after, the next bus came along. I got on, and so did the man I was just talking to, which I found weird, as he could have gotten on the earlier bus I mentioned. Whatever, I really didn't think much of it. I put my earbuds in and continued on the 20-minute journey home. I got off of the bus at my usual stop and was walking along when suddenly I felt someone grab my shoulder. I flinched and instinctively pushed the hand away and looked behind me and saw it was the man from before. I took the headphones out and he said, "Hey, beautiful girl, you got a man?" My defenses immediately went up, as I'm sure any girl living in the city will understand. I started walking, and he followed me. I said, yeah, sorry." I was pretty bewildered at this point. I have experienced creepers before, but not someone physically grabbing me. "Nah, you're just saying that. I can tell you're lying. Come on, beautiful. Can I have your number?" I said, "No, I have a boyfriend." I actually wasn't lying. I did have a boyfriend. But he continued asking over and over again, getting angrier and angrier each time he asked. "No, sorry." At this point, I started walking really fast, almost jogging. He was still following me. It was about a 5-minute walk to my flat, and he followed me the whole way back. I honestly thought at this point I was going to get attacked, or worse, stabbed, or I don't know what. I had never been in this situation before, probably due to the fact that I'm 5'11". Even though I weigh only 130 pounds, I've always been told I look intimidating due to my height. So I got back to my flat, and he followed me all the way to the doors. Luckily, I got in and shut the door before he followed, and went up to my flat. About 30 minutes later, I went to my balcony and looked down, and he was still there. I contemplated calling the police, but instead called the concierge, and they went down and I could hear them threatening to call the police if this guy didn't leave. Thankfully, he did. I spent the rest of my months living there worried he was going to show up, but luckily he didn't. My stomach turned recently when I heard on the news that not 5 minutes from where I used to live, and this all took place, a girl was walking home late one night and she got assaulted. She flagged down a car for help and then got assaulted again by a different guy. I can't imagine the horror this poor girl went through. To any girls reading this, honestly, look into getting self-defense classes or something, especially if you live in the city. I would really love to have karate chopped that guy in the dick. But seriously, I was lucky, though I know it could have ended a lot worse. I have no idea what this guy's intentions were, if he just wanted my number, or had something more sinister in mind. Be wary with who you speak. I find with men harassing women in the street, if you completely ignore them, more often than not, they will stop. But if they don't, or if they are getting physical, a loud noise will startle them, so you can run away. Also, don't feel like you have to answer a man who is talking to you. You don't owe them politeness. Your safety is the most important thing of all. Creepy Uncle Scott by Forever 97. Hi guys. The last time I wrote here, I posted about my ex's Uncle Scott and his insane family. Well, I moved back to the city where it all happened. My clients live in this town. It's closer to the family, and the rent for this place is so much better. Today was the first day I had where I wasn't working or finishing my move. I decided to go to the mall with my friend Ryan, and while we were there, we saw Uncle Scott. I wasn't too worried until I saw that he was staring at me. Ryan pointed out that he was on the phone as he stared at me, so I joked that he was calling for backup. As we walked out of the first store, we noticed he was gone, but I was still feeling sketchy. We started walking, and then we heard him. He was yelling, loudly at me, while in a well-populated area. I walked faster, while Ryan stayed the same pace, making sure Scott didn't get too close. Scott called out, "I called Sean and his son. I don't care if the cops get here." I ran after that. I didn't think much about what I was doing. I just ran. I hid inside the hair salon there until Ryan caught up to me and let me know that he saw Scott leave. We continued shopping. We went into one of the goth stores. I wanted to buy something that had to do with Rick and Morty, Mom's Christmas present. I was asking the cashier what the best exit was, in the case Scott came back and was waiting. As I was in the middle of explaining to the cashier why, Sean walked in. I ran to the next employee room in the back and asked the employee back there to let me use the exit door. Before he got the chance to let me, Sean also walked into the employee room. The employee had to stand between us, and Sean was so angry. He looked at me and said, "Keep running. It doesn't matter what police station you run to, we will get you." The cashier had called security by then, but he was gone before they got there. Thankfully, the security guard played bodyguard for Ryan and I while we got the hell out of there.
By the way, you were looking really beautiful. By Hope 07.
This happened around October of 2016. I was 19 at the time this incident occurred, and was also at my first year of college. I am living in a state away from my parents. I came here especially for my education. I'm telling you all this to make you understand how alone, cornered, and threatened I felt after all this. I used to stay in a woman's-only hostel. I had a roommate who was also a college student. We both were roughly the same age. She was just a year older than me. Our hostel was a big building with 3 floors. Each floor had 2 separate apartments. All the apartments had 2 rooms, a kitchen, a big hall, a common bathroom, and a balcony. All the balconies had a sliding glass door with curtains covering them. Towards the right of our building was an empty field, and towards the left was a complex with 5 floors. So all the right side balconies faced towards the field, and the left side balconies faced the complex, as in the side view of the complex consisting of several windows. Most of the time, people living in the complex kept their hostel-facing windows shut. This complex didn't have an elevator, so the stairway was everyone's common friend. On every floor, there was a big glass window that you would face to while going down or up that was facing towards our balconies. I am very bad at explaining structures of buildings. My apologies. To make it simple, if I look from our balcony, I can see a straight line of big glass windows and also the whole stairway inside. So, on to my story. Our common bathroom is perpendicular to our rooms. So, if I want to use my bathroom, I have to cross the hallway horizontally, not vertically, and straight up is my bathroom. It's set like this. room, hallway, bathroom. If I kept our sliding balcony door open, anyone from the complex's big glass windows can get a good look into our hall and can also see us walking around. I hope I've created a clear image. It's common for us to dry our clothes on the balcony. So, as per my usual routine, I came back from the college at 3-ish. I took a nap, got up at 7-ish and went to take a shower. Now, mind you, it's completely normal for everyone to go onto the balcony wearing a towel and dry their clothes or whatever, because we never had any problems there, ever. I got out of the shower, wearing a towel, and went out onto the balcony to dry my clothes. I was more than confident because it was dark outside, and I was sure nothing would happen. I won't lie, even after this being a regular thing for me, before going outside, I stood by the curtains and scanned the complex thoroughly. I didn't see anyone. I got outside and started putting my clothes on the clothesline. It took me a bit of time. Not soon after I started putting my clothes on, I got this strange feeling of being watched. Being an overly paranoid person, I brushed it off as a thing of my stupid brain acting up. 5 minutes passed and I looked up casually and was dumbstruck at what I saw. By one of those big glass windows I mentioned above, I saw a silhouette of a man. This window was directly in front of my balcony. They say when something horrible happens, your fight or flight kicks in. But honestly, my mind was just completely blank. I don't know how long I stood there like that, with my eyes glued onto the silhouette. After a few seconds that seemed like hours, I ran towards my room. My roommate was equally shocked and baffled at my entrance. I told her the whole ordeal, and she insisted on going outside and checking. I kept saying no. I don't know what I was scared of. The man who was staring at me from the next building? It's not like he could jump from there towards my balcony. At that moment, I felt helpless like a child, scared of something sinister lurking outside. My roommate went outside, closed the sliding glass door, and covered it with the 2 curtains. All this while, I was standing at my doorway and peeping outside. She then switched off the lights in the hallway and was peeking outside through the curtains. Curious as to what she was doing, I forgot my fears and reluctantly joined her in the endeavor. What I saw made me even more scared. The man was now on one of the top floor's big window and was trying to look inside our hall. After a few minutes, he came all the way down, all the while looking towards our balcony. We then saw him getting onto a bike and leaving. We still didn't get a clear look on this guy's face, as it was dark. A few weeks passed, and I was mostly out of my experience. It was noontime, and I was outside of this place I frequently go to grab food, nearby my hostel. Most of the times, I go there with my roommate, but this particular day, I was alone. I was familiar with the manager there too. As I was eating my food in silence, I felt someone standing very close to me. Instantly, I looked up and was met with the manager. He asked me if the food was good, the usual stuff. I answered his questions and looked down. That's when he said something that made me pause, whatever I was doing. He said, "I'm really sorry for staring at you that day while you were in the towel by your balcony. I didn't mean to scare you. It was an accident. I was there for this delivery." I was stuck. I didn't know what to say or do. I was so embarrassed that I just looked down and told him, "It's okay. I didn't know it was you anyways." I thought the conversation ended with that, but no. He looked at me and said,
By the way, you looked really beautiful."
Honestly, that time I felt a mixture of several emotions. My anxiety levels were off the roof, and I felt like puking on top of that. I just kept quiet for some time. My appetite had already died with this conversation. Finally, I got up my courage and looked at him and said, "That's not a good thing to say. Shame on you." And exited the restaurant. I was hyperventilating the whole way towards my hostel, and now also while writing this story down, I was feeling all kinds of ways. I never told this thing to anyone except for my roommate, who consoled me immensely and was a major support to me through all of this. Soon after, I left the hostel due to reasons unrelated to this. My new house is roughly the same locality, but a decent distance from the shop. Now also, I swear by to never go through that shop. Something about that shop and him just irks me.